last week's Dynamite wasn't this week's. I tell you that much. This week's Dynamite was definitely an upgrade from last week. Last week's was kind of like the C show. You know, it was like Luchador Express. Like I thought we was watching, CMLL instead of AEW last week. Although I did give them credit for the pacing of the show, and I didn't think it was all out terrible like a lot of the internet thought. However, this week they made up for it. They had a little bit of everything. They had something for stories, they had plenty of wrestling, and they had a lot of other shit like stuff for the sickos. We'll get into the sicko part in a little bit. But the show starts off with a banger. You get a like basically a fatal 4-way for the right to basically face Kenny Omega for the International Championship, AEW International Championship. God, I can't wait till they freaking consolidate those belts. But anyway, they were in a match to go against Kenny Omega at the upcoming show that's coming in Dynasty. So you had the contestants were Mike Bailey, Speedball Mike Bailey, Ricochet. You had Mark Davis, and then you had Orange Cassidy. Great match, back and forth. I mean, it's what you would expect from a lot of these guys because they move around a lot. They're a lot of smaller guys. Mark Davis kind of played the big guy who would get a lot of power moves in because, all the other guys were just spot guys, but they didn't do just spots. They did a lot of wrestling as well. So it went great. I don't have to go into the details, but it went really well. I thought Orange Cassidy might have legit hurt himself during the match. He grabbed his bicep a lot. So I wonder what's that all about. We didn't hear anything in the reports in regards to, his health or whatever. But I wouldn't be surprised if he legit hurt himself during the match. Or if he didn't do it, he's a hell of a seller. But, yeah, man, the match went well. I didn't really like the little, weird little finish they had where they had Mike Bailey and Ricochet win the match together because they both pinned Mark Davis. I mean, it was obvious. They wanted to have a triple threat. And for the title against Kenny, I'm not mad. You're going to get Ricochet, Speedball Mike Bailey, and Kenny Omega for the first time all in one in the ring together at AEW in any match. So it's going to be awesome. Kenny Omega's going to win the match. Let's be clear. You know what I'm saying? Because everything, like I said in the last videos, listen, everything is leading up to All In with Kenny Omega versus Okada. And, it's going to happen. So this match that's going to come up for the card on Dynasty is going to be worth watching. Don't get me wrong, but Kenny's going to win that match. So, that was a dope opener. And then that led right into the next match, which is Mercedes Mone versus Billie Starkz. Now I said this, there was going to be little seeds leading into potentially something bigger from her wrestling Mercedes Mone, me talking about Billie Starkz. I was right about that, but I'll get to that in a second. So, these two had an awesome match. I mean, you can give it an A, you can give it a B+, you can give it whatever you want, but it was solid. It was back and forth. They've never wrestled each other before. Billie Starkz is a young and up-and-coming wrestler. She's in her early 20s, I think. She started in her mid-teens. So she's one of those types, like a really young, up-and-coming star that, Mercedes is getting in the ring with, essentially. So this is something Mercedes has been doing now for a year, just wrestling just about anybody. Name wrestlers, no-name wrestlers. She's wrestling everybody. So Mercedes did another great job, another banger. I mean, what do you expect from our CEO? What do you expect from the moneymaker herself? You expect dividends, right? You expect payments, right? And that's all she do. She delivers payments in the ring. And she did that this week, last night, again, against Billie Starkz. The cool thing about Mercedes and when she wrestles people, she's fighting as a heel, of course, wrestling as a heel, of course, but she does an excellent job as being a heel that allows the baby faces, the good guys, to get their shit in. She allows the good guys to get their shit in before she gets hers in. it's just great wrestling, great storytelling. It's something that I've come to expect from Mercedes Moné, aka Sasha Banks. But yo, great match. That match also led into our Mercedes Moné. You know what I'm saying? She had like an interesting comment when she talked to Renee backstage, Renee Burkett. So she's, Renee and her got they little chummy relationship now where Renee is kind of saying Mercedes' catchphrases now. It's cool. It's all good. But she hinted at something. She was being disrespectful towards Billie Starkz. She basically mocked, whoever trained Billie Starkz. Like whoever her mentor was, they didn't know what the hell they were doing. If she was my mentee, I would have did this, that, and the third. So she was shitting on Athena, the forever champion. So those two are about to get on a collision course that I've been calling for quite some time. Hell, I just did a video about praising Mercedes Moné and how she needs more recognition as to how she's been giving young talents like Billie Starkz shine in matches with her and having banger matches with them as well. So, yo, it's happening. Athena versus Mercedes is going to happen at some point. So now we're finally starting to get a build there, potentially. So, yo, right after that, I'm telling you, the pacing was great. They kept it coming. Right after that, they got jumped right into the street fight. Jon Moxley defending the AEW championship versus Adam Copeland, a.k.a. Cope. Cope for hope. But unfortunately, it wasn't no hope because Cope ended up going down later in the match because, it started off in the parking lot. They banged, they brawled in the parking lot, brawled inside of a production truck, used a couple of cool little gimmicks. Cope, I was just gonna call him Edge. Cope kicked Moxley off the truck into a fenced, garage fence door, and then of course they brawled their way all the way back into the ring. So a lot of stuff happened. They had a lot of little spots, suplexes, paradigm shift on the table on Cope. A lot of different cool stuff happened. So fast forward, of course, stuff started to get a little gnarly. Now, if you didn't notice my cover art for this video, then let me get to it. Jon Moxley did some Moxley shit. He did this spot that nobody was expecting that was going to actually happen on live TV. So, Edge Copeland, excuse me. I'm never going to not call this dude Edge. It's always going to be Edge. But anyway, Adam Copeland, the rated R superstar, got to a spot in the match where he took out his spiked 2x4, which he calls Spike. Now, he's never really used it in a way, like he's used it before, but not in a way where it was like, oh my God, this is gruesome. Not until last night. Jon Moxley allowed Adam Copeland to suplex him on that goddamn thing. And what do you think spikes do to flesh? It goes right into it. And man, oh man, that thing was those spikes were lodged in directly into Moxley's back. It was nothing fake about it. And you could tell Wheeler Yuta finally came to the ring. This is when the Death Riders started to coalesce and come back because they've been off of TV for a couple weeks because Adam Copeland took them out. But they came back to try to help Moxley out. And, of course, they started to attack Copeland. But in between all that, Wheeler Yuta at first tried to get the damn 2x4 off of Moxley's back, and you can see Moxley's skin peeling as he's trying to do it. So finally, Wheeler Yuta gives up, goes back after Cope, and Cope, power bombs him through a table. So he's out of it. And then, like I said, the other Death Riders came in and did their thing and finally took Cope down. But the referee was finally able to get the goddamn spikes out of Moxley's back, the 2x4 that he's walking around with throughout the ring. They finally get it out of his back. He's bleeding all over the place on his back, holes in his back and everything. So once all this is done, finally, Copeland gets a spear on Mox. It wasn't enough because now, the patriarchy with Christian Cage's family came and interrupted, took out Copeland, and then Mox took him out with the bulldog choke. So you get the patriarchy involved because Christian Cage is always going to be a factor in Adam Copeland's life in AEW, period. Because all roads will lead to them joining forces again as a tag team, probably at All In at the big show in July. So this is the beginning steps to that, as FTR started to have dissension when they came down to the ring and help out, and it didn't go as they planned. And then Dax Harwood walked away from his partner and walked away from Adam Copeland. So that has some friction. So it's probably going to be FTR versus Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. That's what I'm thinking may end up happening eventually for All In. So now you get to, and again, I will say this, I didn't even give them credit for the match. It was a solid match. I would have gave it a solid B. It was a hell of a lot better than the match that everybody crapped on at Revolution. So this should have been the match they had at Revolution. It was solid. I mean, it was a solid street fight. Had a lot of spots. I mean, it did what it was supposed to do. Now Will Ospreay went against AR Fox. I mean, this was just a solid match. I mean, AR Fox is a good wrestler, but not a good wrestler. He's a great wrestler. I've seen him from his days in Lucha Underground with a lot of other stars. So he's great, but, his sole purpose for AEW right now is to do jobs, have great matches with their top stars, and to lose to them. So that's his job, man. But bless his heart, shit, it's paying his bills. Now, Kris Statlander versus Megan Bayne with Penelope Ford ringside for next to Megan Bayne. So Kris Statlander and Megan Bayne proceeded to have a banger of a match. These are two big chicks, I tell you. They stacked, and I'm talking about stacked in many ways. But as far as their ring ability, man, they went back and forth. Like I said before, Megan Bayne has a history. If you follow her stuff, she's been signed to AEW, but she was off TV for a while. But during that time, she did a lot of stuff in the indies. And I seen a lot of her stuff in GCW where she wrestled a lot of those sickos over there in a lot of extreme matches where she was doing, GCW stuff, having stuff poked in her head and all type of stuff. So she really earned my respect in that circuit. And as far as Kris Statlander goes, man, Kris Statlander is solid. She's always going to have solid matches. She had 2 solid matches with Mercedes Mone. So, this was also one of those solid matches, but it had something that was even special. And that special thing was timeless Toni Storm ringside to watch it. Now, this is really timeless Toni Storm, or this is setting up for the feud to come with her against Megan Bayne, because they building her up like a freaking brick house, as they should. She literally is a brick house. She's one of those, she's statuesque and everything. She looks like a goddess, for God's sakes. So they've been building her like such, and that's solid, And in this match, she ended up beating Kris Statlander in a solid match. I mean, it was one of those good matches you would give it an A. That's how good it was. But she was on top. I mean, I feel bad for Kris Statlander because now she's become the Sami Zayn of AEW now. She's just going to keep continuing to give you these workhorse efforts, these great solid matches with some of their up-and-coming stars or top stars, but not come out quite on top. And I don't want that for her. I hope she gets hers down the road soon because she's been putting in great work herself. So she went down to Megan Bayne. It was the right decision, the right choice, as you build Megan Bayne and you feed her to Toni Storm in the next feud for Toni Storm, because she doesn't have anybody to go against now after her feud with Mariah May. So I mean, it's a solid thing. I don't have any issues with that. There was a spot where Mega Bayne threw Kris Statlander into Toni Storm when she was at commentary. Then Toni, she said, not this time. You're not gonna get me like last week. So she got her fighting. She got in fight mode. She got in fight mode. She jumped up on the goddamn table, taped up to her right fist, threw it in the crowd, the rest of the tape, and she went and proceeded to go right in the ring after Megan Bayne won the match with an F5, and they started to fight in like what looked like a hockey fight or something. It was like it was like a hockey brawl, slinging fists right and lefts. So then security came and all of that. So that's going to be a big buildup. They're definitely Toni Storm cut her, a typical Toni Storm promo talking about her strap, her title belt, and how she's going to rip off her tits. And I mean, it's great. I mean, it's crazy that no one has ever, as a female wrestler, thought of saying to another female wrestler how they're going to rip their tits off in a fight. Like, it's crazy that Toni Storm is the only one that's thought of this. But anyway, great build up for the match to come. That was the ending of the show, essentially. You had that to go home to, and it was solid. I mean, it was a solid show. The ladies shined in this show as they should have, because the top star, arguably right now in the promotion, might be Timeless Toni Storm. Like, far as just being over and respect and all of that. Like, she has all of that. Like, she's a respected champion. Jon Moxley right now, not so much. That's really the only down spot for AEW right now, is this whole Death Riders storyline. Man, the whole internet universe, the whole wrestling community is hoping and praying for you, Swerve, to bring an end to this horror movie, because, man, it's just been the one down part far as AEW and trying to restore the feeling. Because you ain't going to restore a damn thing with this Death Rider storyline. It's been several months, and it still ain't really getting over. And not to mention, it's been several months of us not seeing the goddamn AEW championship. Come on, man. I don't even know what the hell it looks like anymore. Seriously. Like, Tony, who told you it was a great idea for you to take your top belt of your promotion off of television for several months? Like you do with your other talent that you want to put away in your toy chest instead of displaying them. When you don't have anything to do with them, you put them away. So that's what you do with your titles now? I don't know, man. But anyway, great show of Dynamite this week. I would definitely give it a thumbs up, an A+. Not an A+. I give it an A. It was solid. I hope this leads to more solid shows to come. The venue was perfect again. They seem to have the venue thing down pat. Yeah, nothing really bad for me to say. I hope they keep it up.